The mindset behind getting a $100,000 communications degree is the mindset because there's so many scams out there.
I think there's just been such a big shift with education and the way to learn, and people are kind of still holding on to that older model. We're seeing a lot of people that call themselves gurus or get rich quick schemes. So there is some hesitation.
What is something you look for some reason? Like you're looking to find like the best land education, the best dropship, whatever it is.
Community. Having a community behind you and that is very active, I think just helps build so much more trust and credibility because you're hearing it from so many people.
That's what the super wealthy do. They leverage their money to buy time back, essentially. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined by my co-host today, Anthony Weiler. And Anthony, I wanted to talk, I don't have a title for this episode, but what I wanted to talk today about investing in education. The reason I wanted to bring this up was because like some of the success some of our coaching students have had, and I really view like when you're educating yourself on something. So if I wanted to go learn, I don't know, drop shipping or something, like I feel like there's three different avenues. There's an avenue where you can go to YouTube and just learn. You got to kind of learn by mistake, stuff like that. Avenue 2 is you take a course. Avenue 3 is like you get some one-on-one training. And I really view those as like the three avenues. Like, is there anything else I'm missing there?
No, I think those are the main avenues to go through, and it all just depends on your personal preferences. But yeah, I'm really excited about this because as some people know, I was one of your guys' first coaching students. And I've tried a handful of different ventures, and yeah, there's a lot of options we could look at. So
let's just talk first about that YouTube avenue or free video avenue, the free avenue. You're using resources, you're putting them together, you're watching on YouTube, you're trying to get into land flipping. Maybe you don't have money. Mm-hmm. You get two types of people. You get people who don't have money to invest in education. Then you get people who are like, they have money. They're like, I just want to do this myself. I want to figure it out myself, which is fine. But let's just talk about like, what does that look like? So in your mind, if you're going into something new, what is that? Or if someone's trying to get into land investing and they're trying to piece things together on YouTube, what does that look like?
In terms of, if you are getting started and you want to go through like YouTube universities, you want to see who the big players are in the space, right? Like who's talking about land, who's experienced. Do they have a community? Start connecting and networking with people, get as many resources, get as many calls as you can. And then at that point, really try to put the pieces together. I'm not as big of a fan of that. Like when we interviewed Landon, he said something that I thought was very impactful. Is like, I'd rather not spend a bunch of time. Like I'd rather learn lessons by, investing in something to really accelerate the process. And I think it's very time consuming. If you go that route, some people can get so lost in the weeds. They just digest a bunch of content without actually taking action.
100%. And yeah, it takes like, that's what you're sacrificing. Like you are saving some money on education, 100%, obviously, like you're not buying education. But you are sacrificing time. And like I said, you're saving money pretty confidently. You are saving money on education, but you might pay more money in experience costs, like making mistakes. Mistakes can be expensive in this business, sending bad mail out, just messing something up, and whatever it is, like it can be expensive in terms of mistakes. The crazy thing to me is like how many people are so willing to take out loans on college and like go get a communications degree. It is wild. Like absolutely wild that is like so accepted, and the government's just happy to give 7% loans, whatever it is, because you don't need to pay it back till after you graduate or after 4 years. But like I know you've had college debt, correct? I mean, most of us have. I've had college debt. Like most of us have had college debt, and it's just crazy to me, like how some people you talk to, and I've talked to people like this, and I it's not like trying to force my education on them. I don't care how you learn land flipping, but I'm just trying to make it sensible. And like the mindset behind getting a $100,000 communications degree versus like something like this, or like them being so against like buying something online, because I think is the mindset because there's so many scams out there, or so many people who are trying to sell crap online.
Definitely yes to that. I mean, I've invested in courses in education like DeFi crypto, and I've lost thousands of dollars doing that. So you learn through trial and error, but I think people too just have that stigma, or not stigma, but just that upbringing of like, hey, go to college, get a degree, work up the corporate ladder, and you'll find a way to like pay off your debt, right? And this is a tough subject not tough subject, but it was a very touchy subject for me for a while, because I had over 6 figures worth of private student loan debt through Sallie Mae. And I was like, okay, well, what the hell am I going to do to figure this out?
And what was your degree?
Right? Criminal justice.
Okay.
And obviously, I'm not in that realm, but I don't understand why people are, like you said, willing to do the route that I went versus like, hey, things are changing in society, and same when it comes to education. I know you used to be a teacher, and I think there's just been such a big shift with education and the way to learn, and people are kind of still holding on to that older model, and it's a little bit worrisome because we don't really know how it looks like to build your future. So we're seeing a lot of entrepreneurship. We're seeing a lot of people that call themselves gurus or make $10,000 like right now, get rich quick schemes. So there is some hesitation. So I understand people's concerns of doing a lot of research before making that decision.
I do think like our generation coming up, like the kids we're raising, I think a lot of people in our generation are raising kids where it's not like college isn't like you need to do this, where it is like it's a status thing. Like I know for me, like my mom, like telling like going to college, whatever, he's doing this, like it's a status thing. Like it really is. But I don't think our generation, I really hope our generation is going to look at education differently. Obviously we're going off kind of on a tangent with this, but it is something that I believe really strongly in. It's just, someone out there is listening right now and like can hopefully think about like, yeah, I am paying $400 a month on my student loan bill, and I'm not using that stupid degree. Salespeople are a perfect example. Why does a salesperson ever need a degree? We have 2 salespeople on our staff that I think one has a degree. I don't know, honestly. I know one of them doesn't, but they invested $10,000 into sales education, stuff like that. One of them also did get a degree, but like the value of that, and now like the upside of what that sales education is, like you don't need all these like general courses that colleges have. Anything else to add on that part? Because you do have 2 separate. I don't want people who don't have money to not be willing to take the YouTube University route. They need to. It's a grind though, right?
Yeah, and so I completely agree, and that's what I did, because I was like, I didn't have like any capital to work with, and when I was looking into avenues to get started to generate more income, I tried drop shipping, I tried a bunch of different things, and so when land investing came across my plate, I was like, all right, who are the big players in the space? Who's writing books? And digested as much content as I could, and then I was like, okay, I'm doing a lot of education, but I think it's time for me to take that next step and actually educate myself a little bit further and start taking action. So I think it is really important, but again, I think that is really difficult for people, is you kind of just get used to digesting all that content without taking action. And I see that in consultation calls too. I'm like, okay, you just want to keep digesting information. You've been researching for like 6 months. What's holding you back? So it is very important, but I do think at some point you will have to take a next step, especially within this business. Like you said, mail's not expensive. I've talked to people that have wasted thousands of dollars on mailers or bought a property, but then they don't have any marketing capital. Like you really want to be able to mitigate as much mistakes as possible.
100%. So going from the YouTube University, free education, to like the do-it-yourself kind of, where you do buy a program or something like that, but it's on you. Like you'll have some maybe group support. You'll have different other things, but like as far as taking action, making things happen, it's still on you. When you're doing that, like, okay, you bought a program for X dollars, whatever it is, like you still have to make things happen. Those people they do really well generally. Like the mindset, it's not even about like the mindset, but I could give our course out for free, but there would be far less successful people because the mindset behind investing in something is so important, because they actually like, okay, I did this, now I got to take the next step, and they just believe more. Like they're more bought in, and there's psychological studies on that thing. Like if you charge $50,000 for something versus $5,000 for the same thing, they think the $50,000 thing is so much better just psychologically. But that group of people doing it themselves, they have a program. The awesome part about that is now they have a blueprint. With YouTube, it's like picking things spot. Now you have a blueprint, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You just got to get shit done then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a very good route, especially for people if you have some money to invest in education. You get your feet wet a little bit, and then it's like, okay, is this something that I can truly do, on my own, or do I want to invest maybe on like one-on-one coaching, or what does that look like? But as long as, you take action, you have the right mindset, and you invest, and you're all in on that, you'll see good results.
What do you think when people are, and I'm not just talking about land flipping, like when you're trying to vet, like that's the hard thing, is there's so much stuff to vet through. And people, it is so, I think, I don't remember who said it, but it's so easy to portray yourself online as someone that you're not. As far as like if you could say you're doing 100 land deals a month, no one's going to know anything. Like it is not that hard to portray yourself as doing something that you're not doing, and then you create this fake credibility. But what do people like? What is something you look for, or you would look for if for some reason like you're looking to find like the best land education, the best dropship, whatever it is? What are you looking for?
Community. I would say community is really big for me, because you can, like you said, people can say whatever they want, and I've fallen for so many like education things. Like I was just talking about DeFi. I literally lost thousands of dollars, and at that time, thousands of dollars was absolutely everything to me. And so I was willing to take that risk, but that's where it gets really tricky. So if you have a community, like one of the things I tell people in consultations when they're hesitant, I was like, we have a free Discord community. You could see who's a member, who's not a member, and who's a coaching student. Talk to them, hear it from them. And so having a community behind you and that is very active, I think just helps build so much more trust and credibility, because you're hearing it from so many people. It's a lot harder for you to be like, oh, they're just talking on YouTube. It's like, no, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people that are really enjoying this and getting value from this. Maybe this makes sense for me to invest in.
Yeah, it's like if you can go and actually, because those websites that have like testimonials, like that doesn't look like a real person. Like if you can go and actually like find the testimonials or it's videos and stuff like that, and they're like, okay, like this person's actually doing something. They're not getting whatever it is. It is difficult because it is easy to fake things online, but 100% community, ongoing education, all that kind of stuff. Like the credibility, I think, is so important, and it's so hard to kind of filter through sometimes. But yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. It's just difficult, and I feel bad for people like that are like jumping around. And it's like I don't know. It's difficult. The thing about like you have people that do this done do it yourself program essentially. Like you have people who will pay for this and they won't do anything. You have people that will pay for this, do a little bit. We've never had someone who's like taken full action and like asked like, this isn't right for me. Like it's like you feel like that DeFi thing, like that was a scam. Do you feel like that?
Oh, it was 100%.
Okay, so you feel like that was a scam. Like I've never got that from someone like this is a scam. This doesn't work. It's just like it didn't work for them because they didn't do X. It's usually like which is cool to see. Like it's a self-responsibility thing, which I really like. But let's move on to one-on-one coaching as far as like, this is for you. You're ready to scale up fast. Like going the one-on-one coaching route is, in my opinion, again, it's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. You got to do some stuff yourself. But it is the easiest way to go from $0 to $100,000. And I feel like it was Mr. Beast or something who would say like the value of mentors and stuff like that. Like if you have a mentor or a coach that's doing $200,000 a month and you want to get there, like it's a lot easier when that person is teaching you one-on-one versus you want to get somewhere and you're not sure what that really looks like. Like this person knows the hurdles, the bottlenecks, everything like that. But you talk to a lot of people interested in this kind of stuff. You coach people one-on-one. You have a wide range of people. Like we're not charging $100,000 for coaching or anything like that. What do those people look like? Who's successful? Who's not successful? You obviously don't say names, but what kind of people?
Like we talk about day in and day out, consistency. Like people that are like, hey, I'm serious about this. This is my plan. I need someone to help guide me along the way. And like, I completely resonate with that because again, I was one of your guys' first coaching students. I was like, okay, like you guys are really killing it. I want to surround myself around you guys. And that way I can learn like, okay, what are some common mistakes? How do I avoid that? And so people that are part of the coaching program that are always engaging, like, hey, can you take a look at this lead? Like one of my coaching students, every lead that he gets, he does a video recording for me so I can understand his thought process rather than just posting the deal and then me say like, oh, negotiate down. It's like, I can understand his thought process. And he brought this idea to me too. He's like, hey, would it help if I did videos for you? And so people that want to take action like that, they're really taking it seriously and just stay consistent. I mean, results will come. A common, not objection, but concerns people have on consultation calls, like, oh, what's the success rate? I was like, I can't give you an exact number, but we have a 90-day money back guarantee. No one's ever submitted a request for that. I was like, trust me, if you stay consistent and you engage, you'll be in a good spot.
It's really, I don't want to say it's not that difficult, because like those things you said, being consistent is difficult for a lot of people. Actually, like continuing to do something, like believing in something, and like getting through the hurdles, I think is one of the biggest things for people. And that's when, like, going back to community, like Landon sitting in the podcast chair, whatever it was, 4 months ago, and Justin and Dylan and all these people who are so successful, like hearing them talk about like the way community helped them through difficult times. There's other people that are going through that right now, and it's cool to see them kind of like, okay, this works. Like it's not an external thing. Like they got to do something differently, and you got to make adjustments. So I think that's where a coach can help so much. That's when you can, but it's really for people who are ready to go, like ready to roll, like let's make this happen. I'm ready to go, whatever it is. And the coolest thing about the coaching is coaching in general, one-on-one in general, like it's customizable. Daniel and I paid a lot of money for a business coach that we're meeting with, and it's customizable to our businesses and what we do. And it's the same thing. Like if you have little niches you want to get into, that's amazing. And I think that's one of the coolest things. I know you talked about some of your students going into like specific niches, right?
Yeah. So there's one that survey hacking just like randomly came across his plate with his marketing. So he's been big on those. There's also two strategizing with a couple coaching students. They're like, hey, I want to go after bigger deals, but I want to do minor subdivisions and go after those with all the features that we have with the land portal, but I don't want to wait like 6 months to a year to disposition all of that. So I was like, that's interesting, because I think we could strategize with that, because we've had some subdivision deals come across our plate and we've thrown out over 6 figures of an assignment fee. And I'm like, why don't you just target those? And since there's, I think, a less barrier to entry, less competition, and you could partner with experienced land investors and pass it off for an assignment fee, and you get paid out a hell of a lot quicker with a higher payday.
That's a good point.
So being able to strategize with people, I think is really cool in the coaching program.
I think just getting a strategy that lines up for you, and like you can rationalize it with people. Like you said, you have someone sending you a video for every single deal, so you understand his mindset behind reviewing deals and everything like that. I think this is hopefully helpful. Like one of the biggest things is like, it's a mind. What I see, and it took me a while to invest in like online education, and it's that mental hurdle, I think, of like I can do this myself, and you don't value your time like you should if you have money. Like if you have money, like you should value your time. Not everyone listening obviously does, but valuing your time and understanding how to leverage your money, like leveraging money. That's what the super wealthy do. They leverage their money to buy time back, essentially. And I think the ability to do that, like once you get over that hurdle once, you're like, wow, that really worked. And it's not going to work every time. Like sometimes you're going to leverage your money, hire someone that doesn't work out, and that's leveraging your money poorly. But overall, like it is a superpower almost, like when you start doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even when I've invested in things like, shit, I shouldn't have invested in that, like the whole DeFi thing. But the more that you do that, the more that you see potential, and you're, building skill sets potentially as well too, depending on what you're investing in. And you just don't know what it's going to lead you to. Like all of my failed like courses that I have done, it's like, okay, well, that wasn't for me, but I learned a couple of skill sets along the way. Or it's like, okay, I know how to vet. That wasn't the best YouTube channel. I probably shouldn't have went that route and invested in the course. And then you start to, compound that. It's like, oh shit, I have all of these skill sets I didn't have before. And now, I'm in land investing online, and it's like, oh shit, like now I was a coaching student. Now I'm a coach, and I'm doing a lot within my own land flipping business. And then before you know it, all of those decisions and investing in yourself. And that's what a lot of people talk about, is you have to invest in yourself. And a big portion of that is in education and what you're looking to grow and develop in. And it's just going to snowball. It's going to compound. But it is a big mental hurdle at first, because
First time,
like you said, and we were just talking about, you got to go to college, you got to do this, and you have to really reframe the way that you were trained to think. And that's a big leap at first. But man, once you get a taste though of that like first wire hit or whatever success you get, you won't stop.
100%.
You just won't.
It feeds you, it drives you. You want to get that feeling over and over again. And it's amazing. Like when you do that, investing in yourself is so important. It doesn't necessarily have to be with education. I'm not trying to sell anything here. I'm just talking about this from a pure like mental state, as far as a mindset, as far as like what this is, what we're talking about. Like it's not even about like go buy land investing online course. I don't care. Like keep watching YouTube if that's what you think is best for you. But the mindset behind it and the people, like there's not if YouTube University was so great. Which it is. Like it is. The free content is amazing. I don't want to take that away, but there would be a lot more people doing it successfully than people in our program or in any program. But the most successful people are learning from somewhere, some paywall.
Yes.
Just a fact.
Yeah,
like it's just a fact.
Exactly. Like like you said, you could put the pieces together. That's going to take a little bit longer. There's going to be some learning curves along the way, but you could bypass all of that with education, investing in education, coaching, building relationships, things like that.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Really enjoy this episode, Anthony. I think this will hopefully help people reflect for sure. If you guys are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. If you're watching on Spotify, leave us a comment, leave us a review. Apple Podcasts, same exact thing. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.